Hey everybody, how are you all doing today? Now today I have some shocking news for you. Could you imagine anyone convicted for a crime he didn't commit? No one likes to be blamed for something that they didn't do in general. So how would you feel if you were convicted for a crime and not just any crime, a first degree murder crime? For a crime as big as this, you would be sentenced to death. This actually happened to a poor innocent person called Rob Williamson. He was convicted in 1988 in Pontotoc County, Oklahoma, of the murder of Deborah Sue Carter, which he didn't do. Her body was found 6 years before he was convicted. Mm, And even after all that time, Williamson was sentenced to the death row. Deborah, the 21-year-old victim who worked as a waitress, was found raped and murdered in her apartment the day after she quit. Williamson became a suspect after they interviewed her friends, and one of them said that she had always felt uncomfortable with him and his friend, and the fact that he was seen at the restaurant on that night. Honestly, if all it took was a friend's word to put you in jail, then everyone would be in jail. Friends hold grudges, people. Um, a witness testified that she heard Williamson threaten to harm his mother while he had the victim. He was also seen at the bar the night of the murder by a witness named Glenn Gore. Up till now, I don't see anything that could hold up in court. Not only do they not have any evidence, they are making statements based on a dream. A dream he had about the crime. A dream, people. Okay, so forensic testing was performed. Okay, but it obviously was blamed on them as only the hairs held up. Only the hairs matched. The semen did not match. And hairs could so easily be blamed on anyone else. You can place anyone's hairs in a crime scene and have them be falsely convicted. The forensic scientists forgot the last step, the most important step, to analyze the information. They didn't analyze the information. Because of their mistake, William spent most of the rest of his life in jail. An innocent man with no way to prove it. When he finally contracted with the Innocence Project, they were finally able to retest the evidence as Williamson's lawyer had requested. RFLP, SCR, PCR, and CODIS all contributed to Williams' exoneration, and I will explain them later on. After they performed another DNA test, it was finally clear that neither William nor his partner had anything to do with this crime. Turns out none of the hairs that were considered a match were actually a match. It was a mistake, but it was actually a match with Glenn Gore, the man that the witness that pinpointed the Rob Williamson as suspect. That man seriously deserves hell for what he's done. Okay, so RFLP is basically a technique for analyzing the variable length of DNA. Steps of RFLP is collect the evidence, isolate the DNA, cut with restriction enzyme, gel electrophoresis, blotting, probing, and please remember, analyze the DNA. After that, SCR on the other hand, short tandem repeats, on the other hand, of restriction fragment length polymorphism, are multiple copies of a short identical DNA sequence arranged in direct succession in particular regions of chromosomes. PCR is very similar to STR, as PCR could duplicate segments of about 1,000 to 2,000 nucleotides. So it's very similar to short tandem repeats. STR is much better to use than RFLP, as RLP requires a lot of undamaged DNA, which is very hard to obtain. And STRs are generally shorter and easier to look at, and they are efficient and cost effective. STRs also use ENCODUS, which is a combined DNA system that blends computer and DNA technologies into a tool that help all the wrongfully convicted. CODIS's purpose is comparing DNA. It was created by the FBI in the year 1990. And CODIS's success is based on the number of crimes it helped solve, and by 2014 it had assisted over 252,000 investigations. Unfortunately, it has an increased risk of going beyond the targeted person, as it has the danger of expanding the database to those who should not be included, as only offenders should be targeted for investigation by using the CODIS database, because sometimes the searching the database can target their relatives as well, so they can put them in danger of becoming suspects. Anyway, April 1999, Rob Williamson was finally exonerated. He was 5 days away from being executed. 5 days, people! The day he went free. The day was the day he got his compensation package. $50,000 for each year he was wrongfully accused, as George Bush had stated. When, Unfortunately, when he got out, he was 51, so he didn't have a long life to spend all this money on. And unfortunately, he only lived 5 more years after he got out of jail, until he died at the age of 56. But at least he got to live the last 5 years of his life as a millionaire, and it's better to be exonerated so close to the end than not at all.